So they eat bugs, they eat plants and fruits, other reptiles. As long as they get a bite-sized piece, everything is on the menu for him. And that leads to question 2. How big will they get? Now some people look at him and they wonder if he's just a juvenile or even a baby, when in fact he's almost fully grown. If you notice by his neck, he's actually shedding a little bit, which is a sign of growth and health. But in my 11 years of zookeeping, I've only ever seen one blue-tongued skink that was a little longer, and like any of us, they can't get a tad heavier. And that leads to our final question before I put him back. How long will he live? This answer might surprise some of you. Under the proper diet and care, these little cold-blooded friends of mine can live over 40 years. A long time. And before I put him back, I'm going to walk around one more time, and now I want everybody to look at his mouth. You may or may not see how or where they got their common scientific name, the blue-tongued skink. And if you've never seen it in person, it may look fake, but that blue tongue is very real, it's very beautiful, but it's also very important. You see, they utilize that tongue as a partial defense mechanism. And that sounds a bit weird to use your tongue for defense, so I'll explain. Imagine Mr. Blue is on the ground foraging for food in his native range. The patterns and colors on his body are an excellent camouflage to hyperpredators on the ground. But let's say a bird flies overhead, the bird sees them from above, they're going to go down and try and catch him. Now these little reptiles, they can run really fast when they want to run, but they're not going to run forever. And that's when that tongue comes into play. So imagine now, he's right there. The bird goes to eat him. Mr. Blue would stand up tall. He would open his mouth up wide, and then he would stick out his tongue. With his mouth left open and his tongue hanging there, that's the first thing any predator is going to see. This little guy on the ground and his blue tongue hanging. And now that bird may wonder, maybe I should not eat him. His tongue is blue. Perhaps he's dangerous, venomous, or poisonous. When it comes to certain reptiles and amphibians in the animal kingdom, a bright color on them could be an indicator of their toxicity. A great example of this, poisonous dart frogs are poisonous because of what they eat. Blue, green, orange, and yellow, warning things, hey, leave me alone, while at the same time communicating amongst each other based off the coloration. So Mr. Blue, he's trying to trick you, he's trying to trick me, a bird, any predator, and they're thinking he's dangerous and venomous, when he's actually really just a harmless, cold-blooded reptile. And being cold-blooded, it is getting kind of chilly for him out here as the sun goes down. So I'm going to put him back under the proper heating to fast. Everyone out here, now I want you to say, bye, Mr. Blue! Bye, Mr. Blue! Yes! Everyone did amazing. I'm proud of you guys since you're so brave. Next, I'll bring out a dangerous exotic animal. Yeah! I'm just kidding. It is dangerous, but for a different reason than you think. Unlike Mr. Blue, our next exotic animal guest is poisonous. And if you don't know the difference between venom and poison, it is relatively simple. Venom is usually injected into your bloodstream. Poison is eaten or ingested. So when you're talking about snakes in the state of Florida, there's venomous snakes and non-venomous snakes. But on planet Earth, there are 2, and only 2 poisonous snakes. And you're all in luck, because coming out the palm of my hand, I'm going to have the dangerous, the exotic, and the poisonous cane toad! I know, it's just a toad. So this guy is a cane toad. They're also known as the marine toad, an exotic amphibian native to parts of Central and South America. But in recent decades, they have become an invasive species in certain parts of the world. But keeping it simple leads to question 1. What does the cane toad eat? Now, at first glance, you may think just bugs, but these exotic amphibians really eat anything that moves. So they eat bugs, crustaceans, other invertebrates, amphibians, reptiles, even mammals. If they can fit it inside of their mouth, they use their front forelimbs to kind of shove the food down in there. To put it in perspective for everybody, one of our colleagues that lives in South Florida, works for the state of Florida's invasive team, recently got a video of a wild invasive cane toad in Florida on the side of the road eating a bird. So again, they eat more than bugs, but it's due to their size. And look at them. This is my buddy Bufo. I think he's awesome. But some people see him and they think, wow, that's a humongous, disgusting toad in that guy's hand. But even from this size, this amphibian has potential to triple in mass. A new viral video came out of Australia. Biologists there found a 6-pound cane toad. That's bigger than some people's newborn babies, and they can live 10 to 15 years. And before I put it back, I want to show you one more thing, and it's not the tongue. If you look right here, on each side of the head, what may just seem like a bump in the skin are 2 individual glands, and these are the glands that leak, secrete, and produce the poison, the bufotoxin. Now, to an adult like myself, if the toad secretes the toxin right now, I wipe my fingers on the glands, and I eat that toxin, the poison. I'd be nauseous and dizzy, but I'd live. On the other hand, to a little mammal or reptile, they don't see a poison gland on this toad. They see food. They see this toad, easy to grab, they eat him right up. And if he's new in the area, they're again not going to know of his toxicity. And that works out for the toad. Because unfortunately, when they release this toxin, when a little animal grabs them, it is potent enough to kill them. So again, these are really detrimental impact in new environments, eating wildlife, they eat their own food, and they're also poisonous. But Bufo's getting a little wiggly, so I'm going to put the toad back. Everyone say, bye, Bufo! Bye, Bufo! All right, you have been amazing. I only have time for one more animal, so I'm going to switch it up a little bit. You just met an amphibian. Earlier, you met an exotic reptile. But we have not met an exotic animal that is adorable and cute, so I have a perfect one for the end of the show. It doesn't even live behind this door. It lives behind a different door. But again, our last animal is the most cute, adorable. It's also the fluffiest animal in my show. And look at that. Jay gave Fluffy a haircut. Thanks. Jade. Yeah. So this is Fluffy. And Fluffy is just a nickname they give any of those alligators right there when it's their turn to educate the public, all of us. Now this is an American alligator. There's only one other species of alligator on planet Earth, that is the Chinese alligator, and sadly they're completely endangered. Not that long ago, the American alligator was on the same page. Now this is not exotic to me, born and raised in Florida, but if you guys are visiting from somewhere that doesn't have alligators, they're exotic to you. So keeping it simple leads to question 1. What do they eat? After they're 6 feet long and 6 years old, they're considered an adult or an apex predator at the top of the food chain, which means they'll eat everything below them on the food chain within the food web. They'll eat a turtle, they'll eat a snake, a bird, they even eat each other. They are cannibalistic in nature, and that leads to their size. How big will they get? Now the female of this species averages around 8 to 10 feet versus males growing to the day they die. Average size for a male American alligator is around 12 feet. A great example of the indefinite growth. Crusher is getting his pool cleaned. That is our largest measured alligator in Wild Florida. He's 14 feet, just under 1,000 pounds, and he grows every year. But that leads to our last question. How long do they live? It's mind-blowing. They have full potential to live over 80 years, if not to 100. And the only reason they live that long is because they're very good at one thing: hiding. Think about it. At the end of the show, I got you. These guys hide from their food, prey, and they hide from things that eat them. And that's thanks to some amazing adaptations. First adaptation I want to show you. Look in front of that medical wrap, that bandaging. There's 2 little holes. They're nostrils. Why do I point out their nostrils? Unlike you and me, they're adapted. They're specialized. They have the ability to open and close their nostrils watertight, above and below the water line. So if they're trying to hide, they want to check the area, they just stick up their nostrils, they can smell for prey or predators, take a breath, and dive under the water to hide. The next adaptation, look at their eyes. All of us as humans, our eyes are sunken in our skull. Theirs are adapted. They're on top of their skull. So when they're swimming in the water, if they want to submerge their back and their tail to hide, they still have a great field of vision with the eyes up there on top. Again, very well adapted. And before I go, I'm going to quickly demonstrate the sound that a baby alligator would make, which, by the way, if you cannot tell, Fluffy today is not a baby. All the other fluffies over there are not babies. The true size of a baby alligator is a hatchling out of an egg, a little bigger than a chicken's egg. And when they hatch, are on 5 to 6 inches long. But it's the sound that I want you guys to hear. So imagine, I have an alligator egg in my hand. The egg wiggles around, the hatchling alligator jumps out of the egg, and they make a sound or a call. When they hatch, they go, Mama. That's a dad joke for the dads. My pops wrote that one, so I'm not that funny. All props to my pops. But if you're in Florida, you guys need to know what a juvenile alligator sounds like for your own safety. So, imagine again, alligator egg in my hand. The hatchling emerges, but the real vocalization, the real sound they make, it goes more like a... Now, why do I make that sound? Again, if you're hanging out in Florida, maybe there's a lake by your house or a pond by your hotel, even water on the side of the road, and you start to hear that cute little grunting sound, do not go closer. Because if there's baby alligators, who's next to them? Mama, you guys are smart. And the mama does not want you to ever go near them. Because out of the egg, everything eats them. Birds, snapping turtles, other alligators. Out of the 30 or 50 eggs that hatch in one clutch in the wild, on average, only 2 of them will survive to be adults. So again, when you hear that sound, walk the other way. The 8 to 10 foot mother's not far behind. And if the same little hatchlings don't leave that nest after the 3rd year in a row, the mama alligator will actually eat her own babies. So kids, when you grow up, move out. You don't know your parents that well. But what I want all of you to remember, from the adults to the kids to the teenagers, we're lucky to have alligators in Florida. In 1962, they were so heavily hunted in the wild by people, they were placed on the endangered species list. And now, thanks to conservation efforts, in the year 2023, in just the state of Florida alone, we're getting close to 2 million wild alligators. So, when you guys find one, just like a wild snake, if you find a wild alligator, give these beautiful reptiles a little distance and respect, and I promise I'll do the same thing with you. That is the end of the show. Give Fluffy a big round of applause, being a beautiful model. Yes. You guys were awesome as well. Now's your chance. If you'd like to feel, touch, or hold the alligator, follow my friend Jane across the walkway. It is free to meet the gator. Just please make a single file line. And when you're meeting the gator and holding it, if it pees on you, that's just good luck and free Gatorade. So, a cup or a bottle. Other than that, guys, we'll see you later. Bye, everybody. Bye. Thank you. Shout out Sinday brand here at YouTube, Wild Florida. Come out and see us every day, not Sunday. Any other day, come see us. Sinday brand on YouTube.
Thank you.
See you later.